very big prime into 2. So we would have seen 2 as a factor, but the big prime would not have been seen as a factor because we are only considering primes less than square root of n. So this cell would consist of the product of primes that we have seen till now for that particular cell. Product of factors that we have seen for that particular cell. So we can directly divide, like for this case, m plus 2 by the number present in that cell to find out what is the factor which we haven't seen till now. And then we can update the number of devices using that. Does that make any sense? Okay. These are the problems which you can attempt. Just make a note out of it. We'll also add these problems on the contest that was mentioned. Okay. The problem code for this problem is p path. It's written prime path, but anyhow, we'll also be adding these problems on the contest that was mentioned in the morning. You can have a go at them at the end of the day. So now again, before another topic, let's see a problem. You guys can read the problem, right? Yeah.
Find for the first multiple of say p, you find alpha 1. What are the rest?
You do it for every multiple.
Okay, so
the power wouldn't be very large. It could at maximum be log of that number to the base p, which is hardly, 30, 40, 30, 32. So yeah, you guys can read this problem, right? I'll just read it out for you. Given n, you have to find the number of irreducible fractions with denominators less than n and numerator less than or equal to denominator. What are irreducible fractions? Fractions of the form a by b, where GCD of a comma b is 1. So for example, 1 by 3 or 2 by 3, they both are irreducible fractions, while 2 by 4 is not. Assume that n is equal to 10 power 6 here.
Using the formula for, okay, so it's problem, we consider every possible denominator.
Okay.
So since the denominator can be any number less than n.
Okay.
So since it is irreducible for that particular denominator, the numerator should have GCD
equal to 1, yeah.
So for every possible denominator, the number of possible numerators is actually the number of numbers less than the denominator and with GCD 1.
Yeah, co-prime to it, yeah.
Co-prime to it.
Yeah.
So you can use the formula for that.
Yeah, actually there's a formula which I'll be covering in the next part.
So and then we have to use the same C.
Okay.
For every prime, consider its multiples.
Yeah, he's right. Move to the next slide. In fact, fine, I'll cover this first and then I'll move to the formula that he's mentioning is actually for a number, the number of numbers which are less than n and co-prime to it, they are known as phi of n. It's called Euler-Toshin function of n. I'll be covering that later on, just after this slide. Before that, because that particular function is related with a very famous theorem. It's called Euler-Toshin theorem. So, and that theorem could only follow this. So let me first cover this, and then we'll move to that. So Fermat gave a theorem which says that, which is to mean that is if a is not multiple of p, GCD of a comma p is equal to 1. If that holds, then this relation holds. We will be using this relation later on. You'll see where we will use it, but just make a note of this relation. Next slide. I won't be covering the proof of these theorems here. You can later on go and explore them. The basic idea here is to expose you to as much concepts as possible, so that later on you can know at least what to study. So, okay, so Euler-Toshin function as I defined, number of whole numbers less than n and co-prime to n. So like for 5, all 4 numbers less than n, less than 5 are co-prime to it. Similarly, let's say take a number 6, you will find that for a number 6, 1 and 5, there are 2 numbers which are co-prime to it. So phi of 6 is equal to 2. So you get the basic idea, right? What is Euler-Torsson function? Fine. So the formula for Euler-Torsson function is if n is equal to p1 to by alpha 1 into p2 by alpha 2 into p3 by alpha 3, where p1, p2, p3 are primes, then phi n is equal to n into p1 minus 1 by p1 into p2 minus 1 by p2 into so on. Again, there is a proof for why this is the relation. I won't be covering the proof here. We can go and read it later on. Okay, can anyone tell me what is phi n when n is prime? N minus 1. Fine. So Euler-Torsson theorem. So Euler-Torsson theorem says that for a number a, 8 power phi n, if and only if GCD of a comma n is 1. That is a very important relation to note. This theorem holds if and only if GCD of a comma n is 1. If you see, if you put n as a prime here, you will get the Fermat's theorem that we had in the previous slide. If you put n as prime here, phi n will be equal to n minus 1. So you will get 8 of n minus 1 is equal to 1 more than. We'll be using this later on. Anyhow. So the question that I asked, given n, find the number of irreducible fractions with denominators less than n, numerator less than or equal to denominator. So as you said, for this question we need to consider every number, and for every number we need to know what is phi n for that number. So if I know what is phi n for that number, my answer would be summation of phi n. Is this part clear? Or does anyone have any doubt with this part? The answer for this question would be summation of phi n. This is right, alright? Fine. Now we need to find out summation of phi n, meaning phi n for every number in a range. So what do we do? Again, we are doing processing in an interval. Yeah, so since we are doing a processing in an interval, we'll be using sieve. How?
Initially for each pin we...
Okay, can you move to the previous slide? That is the formula for phi n. Yeah.
So for each initially we initialize... For each time initially initialize phi of n to n. Then after that by doing the sieve, during when we know that a number is prime and we are crossing all these factors, at that time you must multiply phi of n with 1 minus 1 by p1. But p1 is the number of times in the I will appear, the prime number will appear to its power.
You don't need the power actually. If you see that relation,
okay, just the prime. So
the power is
2 multiply 1 minus 1 by the prime number.
Okay. So what he says is that let's say I have done a sieve to figure out what are the primes in a particular range. So for the interval that was given of 0 to n, I do a sieve to find out what are the primes in the range 0 to n. Now for every prime, if you notice, for every prime I just need to multiply that number with prime minus 1 by p1 by that prime. So what we do is we pick up every prime. For every multiple of it, we multiply that factor into the corresponding cell. So when we end up, every cell will contain phi of n. Is this part clear? It's very similar to what we were doing earlier. The divisor thing, the sum of divisor thing, similarly this thing. What if I give you a question where I tell you calculate A bar B mod C? This is a very basic question. I expect you all to know that. You have to calculate A bar B mod C. What is the best that you can do? Okay, log B. It's reasonable. Is anyone here present who does not know how to do it in log B? Now let's say I modify my question a little. I say calculate A bar B bar C mod D. So the exponent also has a power. So what do you do now? What he is saying is, this is where we'll apply the Euler-Torsson theorem which we just studied. Let's say B bar C was equal to something k into phi of D plus R. where R is the remainder when you divide B bar C by phi of D. Let's say this was the case. So you can write it as, which is equivalent to, you need to take a mod with D. I can take the mod separately as mentioned in one of the postulates of modular arithmetic, and then later on take mod. We already know that for any A bar phi n, mod n is equal to 1. So this quantity goes as 1. We are left with this. There's a mod D here. So we're left with, so the problem would reduce now to calculating B bar C mod phi of D. If this is equal to R, then calculating A bar R mod D. This way you can solve that.
Assuming GCD A comma D is 1.
Yeah, of course there's an assumption that GCD of A comma D is 1. I'm sorry I missed that. Fine. Okay. Now we move to what we call linear modular equations. This is a very standard form of a linear modular equation. Ax is equal to B mod C. You know what A, B and C are. You have to calculate x. For now, let's assume that GCD of ABC is 1.
Since A and C are coprime, A has an inverse modulo C. So multiply that by both sides.
Okay, I should not have kept that topic. Anyhow, yeah, fine. His solution is fine. Can you suggest something using the concepts that we have already seen? Because inverse modulo is something which we'll be covering now, right?
Okay. So you can multiply this by A bar phi of C minus 1 on both sides.
Okay.
So the LHS reduces to X.
Okay.
And the IHS is A bar phi of C minus 1 into B. That's the solution.
That's reasonable. So what he's saying is, we have this equation, right? We can multiply both sides by 8 bar phi C minus 1. As we said, GCD of A comma C is 1. So this becomes 8 bar phi of C into X. We already know that the mod of, meaning this is equivalent to mod C into X mod C. I can just say into X. We already know that this is 1 from Euler-Toshin theorem. We know that this is 1. So we are left with X is equal to something mod C. So this is our solution. We can calculate this using modular exponentiation, that log n method that we discussed. This is clear, right? Well, I guess this problem will take more time, but yeah, please do attempt this problem. This problem was there in ACM Kanpur, one of the regionals, and the problem had a very, for some reasons the test data was not as good as it should have been, but let me tell you that there is an order 1 of solution possible to this question. So if you guys can come up with that, then it will be very nice. Anyhow, even an order n solution works. But what the problem says is, in fact I don't remember the problem exactly. Okay, now again, before moving to the next concept, one more problem. Let us assume that there is a number x which is product of all primes less than or equal to 43. That is 2 into 3 into 5 into 7 into so on. Find the sum of all x such that x cube mod capital X is 1. And yeah, by the way, the product is very high. Don't expect that you'll run a loop from 1 to x and then you check for every x. Chinese remainder theorem says that if you have n numbers, or let's say x numbers, or k numbers, let's say n1 to nk, so that each of the numbers are pairwise coprime. So for any ij, GCD of ni comma nj is 1. If this relation holds and the product of these numbers is equal to n, then if you consider a tuple which you create of, Let's say you consider